and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Warhammer 2 Total War as Rakarth. Now, I've recently finished a playthrough with just this character, the new FLC Lord, and honestly, I gotta say, I really like the playstyle, the amount of freedom you have once you consolidate Albion, and, well, I also haven't just played this game in a while for the channel, and I think it's time to get back to it. So, as you can see, we are playing as Rakarth, and I'm going to be focusing in this playthrough pretty much just on the game and on the gameplay. I won't be, usually, there is some amount of downtime, right, between battles, between sieges, loading times, and so on, that I tend to talk about other things, but, you know, occasionally I'll mention something, but for now, this is going to be just strictly Warhammer 2. I won't go on rants about other Total War games, about other stuff happening, so with that said, let's get into it. So, the strategy is this, or the plan, rather, is infinite money. Oh yeah, the plan is infinite money by around turn... I could probably do it around 30, 40, but let's be optimistic, let's be a bit pessimistic rather than quite the opposite, and say like around turn 50, 60-ish. What I mean by infinite money, I mean more money than I can spend realistically. I could probably spend all of it, even on turn 50, but I won't need to. Right? So yeah, that's basically the idea. How do we achieve that? Well, we click this button here, which says... no more slaves. No, we click this button, which says request additional slaves, and then we build all of the buildings here with one singular purpose in mind: maximize slave money production. And have a little bit of public order. I mean, that's necessary, but yeah. The only thing you need to know for the setup, or the only like major important thing for the setup of the campaign, is that I'm playing without the Chaos Invasion. Because we've started an Albion, because I don't really want to worry about Archaon coming down here and attacking me and stuff like that. It also sort of discourages you from going into Norska if you know that by the time you get around here, Archaon's going to come in and so on. You know, it's... I've had plenty of Chaos Invasions. They've been a thing in this game since release. Now that we can turn them off, I would like to play around with that a little bit. So, anyways, that's the plan. So we're going to build everything here to maximize slave production. Also slave income that those unfortunate individuals generate, and then the recruitment for the entire game, pretty much the entire campaign, is going to be done through Black Arcs, which means we need to perform the rite that allows us to create a Black Arc, and that's going to be 500 slaves, which means money is going to be pretty tight early on. But that's normal, and look at this, even technology is like pushing us towards the infinite money glitch. Well, not glitch, that's a very, very wrong way of saying it. The infinite money feature, it is legitimately, properly a feature in the game, and this is comically easy with auto-resolve. Actually, not that easy, but after we enslave them, we get a lot of replenishment. Yeah, this is still comically easy. Okay. I didn't want to play it out because it's just like, it's dumb. It's so easy, it's actually dumb. Now, this character, Boudica Soulblaze, has the Beast's Law of Magic, which some people like to tell you that it's not useless, that it has its uses, and the only reason people dislike it is because they're bad at the game and it doesn't have big damaging spells and stuff like that. And look, if you want to play with the Beast spell set and with those sort of characters and you think they're good, by all means, knock yourself out. They are objectively worse than fire, though. They are objectively worse than death. I don't mean the concept, but the magic spell set or whatever. If you go over here, for example, I can actually show you that. I probably can. Yeah, yes, I can. So, I can't actually go into the skill tree right now, but like, dark magic, not terrible. Shadow magic, not good. Law of Beasts, pretty bad. Law of Fire, great. Law of Death, pretty good too. Whilst it's true that they don't have big spells, and that's big damaging spells, and that's one of the reasons people dislike them. The other is... I mean, okay, this summons a Manticore. Good. That's good. Manticores are good, alright? Manticores are not a bad unit, and if you can spawn one for free, that's great. But you know what the problem with this is? This costs 18, or at level 2, 12 winds of magic, which is quite a bit. And you spawning a Manticore isn't going to turn the tide of battle necessarily, because the Manticore is going to fall apart and die on you very quickly. Yeah, you see, summon units degrade over time. This Manticore is going to be useful for attacking maybe an enemy archer unit, another enemy monster unit, or something like that, and then it's going to die. And then the unit that it was fighting is going to come back and fight the rest of your army, slightly damaged. Now, if you were able to summon it permanently, Lore of Beasts would have been better, but so far, I mean, even with a character that's almost tailored for a skill set like this, like, you know, beast magic, and Rakarth has tons of beasts. Well, that would just make sense, right? That's what you do. You have beast magic and you boost your beasts. Well, it doesn't do that, though. The beast's Lore of Magic doesn't do that good enough to justify that use of the Winds of Magic, first of all, and second of all, just the character slot and the slot in the army. It just doesn't justify it. So yeah, anyways. After we capture 2,500 battle captives, we'll have the opportunity to confederate Karondkar, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that. Also, we need to build the restored port of Nagaroth. Nagaronath. Very different. But for now... Oh, come on.
Keeping beasts is not cheap.
Okay, here I'm going to loot and occupy because I need the replenishment, and I kind of want them to revolt, if I'm honest with you. So let's just repair these two. I'm going to spend a turn here anyway, so might as well. Now what are we going to do? Casualties captured post-battle. I think this is going to be very important for our money endeavors. And then here, I'm going to spec this unit out as a agent, basically, and I'm going to keep her around for one more battle, because she's going to gain a lot of experience this way, when we capture the Citadel of Lead. But after that, I don't really see a point in keeping her. Like, not really. Okay, I will get the Feral Mammoth. It's not the best unit, but it gets the job done. And then, let's say... I don't really want Harpies, but no, I suppose. Yeah, actually, no, Harpies aren't. For the start of the game, Harpies aren't that bad, because sometimes the enemy, especially if we're going to fight the Empire, which I doubt we are. I'm thinking I'll probably head into Norska. I kind of like the idea of raiding Norska, though, in a sort of Uno reverse card type of maneuver. I kind of like that idea. Just like go, probably like a Black Ark or something, and go up and down the coast and just continuously raid stuff and gain slaves that way. The amount of money we're going to get from that is insane. And not just from, actually not from raiding the settlement itself. I mean, that'll provide a nice little instant boost, but I had Harpies I could recruit like this.
Even chaos can be subdued.
And it would have made a difference. They would have been like 60 gold cheaper. That's honestly a little bit sad. But not much we can do about that. I kind of don't want a bigger army. I don't really even need a bigger army than this. Because I don't want any more melee units. I want more shades and more beasts. And I want more archers and stuff like that. Well, they're not called archers. They're dark shards. Yes, I want those. Or handbows. I mean, that would have been that would be quite acceptable as well. So next turn we're getting a Black Ark. Why is it important that we get a Black Ark as soon as possible? They need to grow. So a Black Ark is kind of like a moving settlement. I mean, on a literal level, they're like a horde, right? Except they're not, you know, an actual horde. They're just an army. A horde would be an entire faction, but you get the idea. I think this battle we're going to fight manually.
Beast Lord.
I mean, we might as well. It's going to be like one of the only battles in the episode, so we should win this fairly easily, but let's do it anyway. Here we go. I've gotten into the habit of cutting out load times for videos like these and for Let's Plays like these, and I think you'll all appreciate it because there is not much useful I can tell you, and not much wisdom I can share when we're just loading into a battle, so there you go. I want wolves. They're not the best unit, obviously. Well, yeah. Okay, if we're going to be like that, I want dragons, but slowly, you know, one thing at a time, and so on. They might not be the best unit, but they get the job done quite well. Not dragons, wolves, I mean. Dragons are one of the best units, yes. They get the job done really well when it comes to harassing enemy units, and I mean, if you're not playing on legendary and very hard, like on hard and obviously less or harder or below on the difficulty scale, the charge damage they do is actually kind of significant. So you can, it's not the most economic thing to do, you can sort of cycle charge them. They're going to take damage. It's not the best. If you can, you know, avoid them and keep them from fighting strong enemy units to begin with, that would be great, but, you know, sometimes they do need to get stuck in with the enemy sort of heavier melee forces, and, well, they do a good job at charging in and sort of picking away at the enemy a little bit. Not alone, though. They're ideal if you have something else fighting the enemies. Let's put the Hydra forward, as well as the War Mammoth. Or, I wish, the Feral Mammoth. If we had War Mammoths like that, this wouldn't be much of a Let's Play. I mean, we would just stack 20 of these, or 18 of these. Rakarth and probably one other magic hero, and then, you know, there we go. And look at this. 30 armor and 30 base weapon damage. That's... Look, that's not even making the unit 30% better. It's not. And it lasts for 22 seconds. If this made a unit 50% better in all stats and lasted for 50 seconds, I would consider prioritizing this spell, but the way it is right now, a little bit of extra armor and a little bit of extra damage for 20 seconds, is just... there's just objectively better things. If I can cast, like, a destructive spell for the same amount, or for a slightly higher amount of Winds of Magic, that destructive spell is going to contribute to me winning the battle a hell of a lot more than buffing a unit by 30%, or 20%, or whatever. It's just the way it is, I mean. Not much else to it. Alright, let's get these spearmen, because they have a little bit more damage, I think, against large units like this. Okay, or we're not going to do that. That is also an option. Here I want to sort of stay put, to be honest. I don't mind the Hydra getting beaten up a little bit. I really don't. Let's get those Marauder Hunters with the Harpies. That will definitely help out. No, that's not ideal. That's not ideal either. Ugh, this is ugly. Alright, tell you what. Leave them alone. Charge there. This is ugly. This is the sore spot of the battle so far. So what, you chase after them because I don't want them coming back, and then you can sort of get involved there. Pull you folks back. Now you've terrified them enough. Indeed you have. And now let's just charge after them to make sure that they don't. Oh, you want to fight the Shades? Sure. Shades with great swords. Yeah, that's... This game has a problem with identifying what unit does what. The Auto-Resolve especially. Like, this unit is not a missile infantry unit. I mean, it is a missile infantry unit, but you might get the wrong idea from reading that. You might get the idea that this unit is a ranged combatant and that it should stay away from melee. No. That's what makes Shades amazing, is that they can fight in melee equally good as in range combat, but they might not even be the best example. The hand crossbows, or hand bows, or whatever they're called, I forget the name right now. I'm going to get them soon, the Black Ark Corsairs. They have the exact same stats as the melee equivalent of that unit. The only difference is, I think, like 4 points of armor or leadership or weapon damage or melee damage or something like that. I don't know, but it's like, it's insignificant. And those 4 points difference, which is basically, like I said, like nothing, for the auto-resolve thing, make a huge difference, because they see them as ranged units, right? And they're like, I don't know, if ranged units engage melee units, the melee units win in auto-resolve. Yeah, but like, look at their stats. No, they don't. You know, they fight equally good as their melee counterparts, but you know, which is why I kind of don't like those units. You need to fight with them manually pretty much 90% of the battles. But yeah, anyways, we'll get to that later. Alright, here we go, and like I said, this time I want to loot and occupy as well. That way we ensure that we're going to have a rebellion in Albion. It does damage the settlement, it does slow down the growth a little bit, and all of that, but it's worth it. Trust me, it is absolutely worth it. Question is, do I want a conscription hall? That's a tough question. Like, I do and I don't at the same time. If that makes any sense, probably doesn't.
Cease your provocations.
I do need another Reaper Bolt Thrower. Tell you what, let's get the Black Ark, and let's recruit it immediately, and even if it just ends up sitting around in Fleet Master, very nice. Even if he just ends up sitting here for a while, that doesn't matter. It'll help. I mean, his presence alone, with the spells on the side, are going to be hugely beneficial for battles in the future, so you know, that alone is enough. Yeah, I guess that's how we're going to do things. Okay, now you are finally going to detach from the army, and I'm going to send you probably in the general direction of Marienburg, because I want to know if they want to come here and pick a fight with me. And considering my finances, I'm going to build an artisan's house instead. This already has Corsair cabins, which, you know, it doesn't provide dark shards like the other one does, but it will. It will soon. Probably the best way of doing things. And then here we go for increased slave production quotas, which also increases growth, which is perfect. We need a lot of growth here. We need to expand Albion quite a bit. Now, ideally, we wouldn't be doing this economy exploit kind of thing with Albion. Ideally, we would be doing it with, like, Nagarond, or in the province with the ancient city of Quintex. That's a really good place to do it. Or something like Altdorf, Reichland. In Reichland, there's actually a really, really good reason to do it in Reichland. But those provinces are far away, and I need the money really, really quickly, and besides we can sort of transition to another province later down the line. It won't make that big of a difference. So what is the actual strategy here? Well, I did a video on it, so probably some of you are quite well aware of it, not just from my channel, but it's sort of all over the place, if we're honest, on the forums, and other people have done The much more popular people have done videos on this feature as well, but the idea is you capture Raise or sack Altdorf and I get Grand Theft Rato. I forgot about that. I forgot that you get a thing to fight the Empire. Ooh, tell you what though. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do.
The people grow restless.
No, never mind that. I was thinking what a good idea it would be to just not confederate over here. Because you have the option to, right? You get the option to confederate Karan-Kar. Unfortunately, you don't get to reconsider that option later. You either do it or you don't. And you have 46 turns to complete it, which also isn't the greatest thing ever. But well, if we don't get 2,000 captives in 40-something turns, we are at... well, we're going to have bigger problems than the Confederation, let me tell you. Yeah. Oh, can I not build this yet? It'll give me a good boost in income. It also provides immunity to high seas attrition faction-wide. Very, very important. But I don't think I can build that quite yet. I don't have the money for it. I'll tell you what, we're going to have a revolt here next turn, so let's get ready for that. And the reason I wanted to have a revolt should become, at the very least, somewhat apparent soon. These guys have way more armor, a little bit more speed, but less damage, bigger charge bonus, and they do have less health. But they are an anti-infantry unit. I'll get one just in case, and yes, I do want this rebellion to happen. I just realised that I got completely distracted by the political sort of grand scheme of things, plans and happenings and non-aggression pact. Oh! That's interesting. You know what, let's do it. Change of plans. We're not attacking Norska. We're attacking the Empire. Yes, Rebellion Albion, I'm very well aware of that. So I never actually finished my sentence about the slave plan and what we're going to do with it. Chaos Trolls, really? Really get serious, come on.
More slaves for Karan.
Actually, probably a slightly more, how do you call it, more optimal way of doing this is to let them rebel for one more turn and grow in size, but, you know.
Rakarth does not fail.
Not the most important thing.
For Karan-Kar.
Okay, so I do have a little bit of problems financially currently with everything happening, so tell you what, let's send you over here to sort of scout the area, and then Rakarth is going to go and cross the sea as well. And we're going to fight Marienburg, and then we're going to take Altdorf, and then we're going to head north and sort of consolidate this area. And from there, really, the sky's the limit. This won't be a very long Let's Play. At least I don't think so. Should be pretty brief, but I will tell you the plan for the slaves eventually. I swear to God, I'll get around to finishing my sentence. It's just that with everything happening and all the political scheming and whatnot, I'm getting distracted too much. So the plan is basically to hoard all of the slaves in one province. Why do I say that this is not ideal? Well, not the plan, but why do I say that Albion is not the ideal province? Is because it only has 3 settlements now. Only. It's the average. Most settlements around have 2. Sorry, not most. Most have 3, some have 2, and 4 is a rarity, so you know, it's not exactly fair to say it only has it only has 3 settlements in it, but... Just get the 1,000, thank you very much. Can't really fight any pirates with their absurd artillery and all of that. Not an option for me currently. Okay, very important that we do get the scout and then see, like, if there's a full stack here, then, you know, obviously we can't engage there. If there isn't, then, well, then becomes their problem, doesn't it? Right. And you might be wondering, well, okay, how absurd can it get if you just hoard all of the slaves here and doesn't slave decline rate or whatever change that a little bit? Well, no. There's ways of minimizing slave decline with both agents and confederations. With this guy over here, Mummy's Boy. One of his skills reduces that. But not only does that happen, but also the whole math behind it is quite absurd, because this gives 10% income from slaves, which for 200 slaves is nothing, but for 6,000 slaves, that's a lot. And this 10% is cumulative, with 10% from slave pens here, here, and potentially in the 4th building as well. And then on top of that percentage, we add technology, we add agents, Knight assassins do that very, very well. They increase slave production and income gained from slavery. All of a sudden, the capital of Albion can produce something like 15,000-20,000 gold each turn. That means that our capital alone will be enough to sustain all of our armies, practically, even towards the end game, right? Even then, like, yeah, we're never going to need more than like 7, 8, 10 armies, maybe. Most of them are going to be paid for from this capital, which means everything else we conquer is just going to be extra. And yeah, it's quite the brilliant little economic plan, but of course it does take a little bit of time to get going, and seeing as we don't have a 4-settlement province, it's gonna take a little bit extra time, but you know what, that's quite alright. I have patience, and like I said, it's not gonna be a super long Let's Play anyway. I feel like I'm gonna stop it around the time when I just can't lose anymore, which might sound narcissistic, but there comes a point where you just have so much money that even if you lose all of your armies on the next turn, you'll just re-recruit them, and okay, maybe you'll suffer a bit of a setback, but it's just the economic ball starts rolling and you just outproduce pretty much everyone, and you know, it's often attributed to Stalin, the quote, I think, but quantity has a quality of its own. I don't think he actually said that. It's not very, I don't know. I couldn't find us for certain reasons, university related. I was looking that up, and actually, I wanted to see if it's actually his quote, or if I could find anywhere any legitimate proof that it is a quote by Stalin. And well, I don't think so. I think it's just attributed to him, and reality is someone else said that, but I couldn't find anything definitive. Found a few things, but you know, not very reliable. Anyways, regardless of the fact, point still stands though, no matter who said it. Quantity has a quality of its own, and the Dark Elves tend to sometimes struggle with units. There's no definitive go-to unit for the Dark Elves. I mean, there's different things that sort of do different tasks and perform different objectives, or complete different objectives differently. For example, the beasts, the hydras, the medusas, so on and so forth. They're really good at certain things, but there's no go-to unit that's great against everything, and some races have that, for better or worse. You have, for example, the Sisters of Avalon for the High Elves, one of my favourite Doom stacks. You have the weapons teams of the Skaven, and although it's not one unit. You get, like, Rattling Guns and Jezzails or Plague Claw Catapults or something. You have differences in terms of flavor there, mostly, but objectively speaking, it's kind of the same thing. And you just... yeah, you just roll with that for pretty much every army, and it's great for sieges, it's great for battles, it's great for fighting all sorts of enemy army compositions, both with large single entity units like dinosaurs or mammoths or trolls or giants or whatever, and it's great for armies that are a little bit more traditional, like the dwarves, for example. It's great against everything. With the Dark Elves, not so much. Not so much. You can specialize, but it's often not a terrible idea to just specialize. Not an army, but like have a little bit of everything. A jack of all trades, master of none sort of situation with them. And to rely on quantity because your economy is broken. And yeah, it's great if the High Elves can recruit a stack of Sisters of Avalon, but with my economy I can recruit 10 stacks of Dark Shards, and what are you going to do now? It's not literally like that in the end game, but or in the mid game, but it can become that. I'm going to play this battle out, even though I'm completely winning. I don't want to lose that many men, and I love fighting the Empire. There's just something about it, but I'll get into it when we start the battle. Alright, here we go. The reason I love fighting the Empire is it's sort of like every bad guy's dream in some sense. Most of the sort of fantasy kind of video games that I and most of us grew up with are like the stuff like Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, and there's been other things too, but I guess one of the most obvious examples has the humans. It's not the Empire, but Gondor, Rohan, or whatever, are some fantasy kingdom of the humans whatsoever, fighting against terrible beasts and monsters and so on and so forth. There's just something very, very pleasing on the eye and fun on a sort of primal level to see you now become this big baddie from all of the fantasy works you've ever seen. And now, you're the bad guy and you're winning, and there's just something about, I guess, very fulfilling in that this game features a million races with, oh, not literally, but like a dozen factions with all sorts of not really identifiable things. I mean, you don't exactly understand how this war mammoth functions in a battle, right? Because as a human, you've never sort of seen that IRL. I mean, you could sort of see it happening, but like, not really, you know what I mean? How would this thing fight? How would it die? How would it react to pain? You don't really know. Or for example, even this, like elves. How do they fight? They're not humans, right? Like shades. Look at this. It's not really the same as a human. But now you put up these sort of unfathomable, monstrous, or just straight up different units and what have you against. Are you going to react to that? Oh dear. And you put these against a very identifiable human empire, where it's just peasants with spears and shields, and all of a sudden, no, it's sort of fulfilling. It's like the world makes sense again. It's not just an unidentifiable bunch of stuff, fantasy stuff that's fighting each other, and you don't really have a very precise idea of what it's like to fight something like that. I guess it just sort of brings everything into perspective when you force fantasy units to fight against a very common human soldier with little more than spears and shields. I completely mismanaged this Reaper Bolt Thrower. Though, I mean, this is a great angle for it. It's just going to arrive here too late is the problem. Okay, I would love for you to go around, actually. And then... Oh, okay, sorry. Like that, there you go. Oh, sod. Oh, tell you what. Take some of this, will ya? Alright, and now we can move in with the infantry and finish the job, basically. Well, not just with the infantry, like it's the Hydra and the Mammoth that are going to be doing most of the fighting, but either way. And I've literally just realised that I've completely forgotten about the special ability that Rakarth has. Not that I really needed to use it so far, but... Are they running away because they're terrified? Oh, this is just... I mean, look, alright, let's... Tell you what. Pull the Harpies away because I don't want them too damaged. What can man do against such reckless hate? Truly glorious, but let's not waste more of your time with this. And there we go. We got the Ring of Darkness. What does that do? Oh, I can't see when I mouse over like this. Yeah, that's a shame. Okay, loot and occupy, I think.
Mine. All mine. Keeping beasts is not cheap.
We need slaves desperately, so yeah, loot and occupy. How much does it cost to repair this, by the way? 200, yes, it's nothing. Okay, cool. I don't want the chariot, though. The chariot, like... The mounts for Rakarth are actually really, really good. All of them. The chariot is pretty darn decent against infantry. It increases his health quite a bit. He now has ranged attacks. His missile strength is very, very strong. He has good ammunition for it. Charges, okay, melee attack and defense are decreased, but like, you know, you're not exactly going to use him to fight lords in a chariot. It's not bad. Manticore is a Manticore, and then you have Brachus the giant dragon with, you know, it's probably the best mount, but still, like, it's difficult to say. It really is. He's, he has all sorts of things going for him. Let's go with Infamous Raider. Just 1 point there, and I'm going to go down to Lightning Strike as quickly as possible. For reasons which should be relatively obvious. We are going to be on the back foot for quite a while. Alright, but now we have 3,000 gold, and that allows us to construct the restored port over here, and that will help with pretty much everything from growth to what's the word I'm looking for? Public order, yes. Alright, awesome. I wish you could bombard settlements with the Black Ark. That would be like, you know, just the tiniest bit of damage to the garrison and to the army. But it would feel like I'm exerting quite a lot of pressure with the mere existence of my fleet. The way it is right now, I'm not really doing much with it, but, you know. It is what it is. I need to be fighting Nordland very soon. And kind of these orcs as well, but I get a feeling someone else is going to take care of them. Yeah. Alright. Income is somewhat decent again, so that's very nice to see. And looks like the army stepped out of Hello.
Disengaging. Withdraw.
Oh!
This cannot be tolerated. Not possible.
Master of all.
Fear my malice. I can't. What now?
Tamer of dragons. Rakarth is...
Just to make this clear, you can't actually reach here and attack. No, you can't. Okay, let's go over here.
Sigma's...
Because here's my idea. They can't reach the Black Fleet now. Or the Black Ark, sorry. Oh, I like that, though, the Black Fleet. They can't reach the... I'm going to keep it. They can't reach the Black Fleet from there next turn. And if they decide to land...
No.
What, all of a sudden they can? What? Oh... My mistake.
Set the sails. The ocean awaits.
My mistake. They couldn't reach it because it was blocking their path. But okay, now they can't reach it. Same thing, whatever. This is a very slight difference in where it's positioned. It's not going to support this siege down here anyway. So here are their options. They either go back and try and get to Grossel and defend it next turn against my army, or they try and land at, well, somewhere along the coast, in which case I'll just go and intercept them and attack them that way. And either way, they're going to be fighting away from Marienburg proper, so that provides me with a hell of an advantage. In chess, there is a term for this. Basically, this is the situation where the fact that they go first next turn puts them at a disadvantage because they need to decide where they need to go. The position is equal, right? So, like, them moving, the fact that they have to move gives me the advantage because they have to sort of pick what they want to do, and then I can exploit the fact that they can't defend both this settlement and attack my settlement at the same time, and defend Marienburg at the same time. The term is Zugzwang, by the way. Well, at least I hope I'm pronouncing it somewhat correctly, though. If you think I'm doing a bad job at it, an official chess lesson pronounces that as Zugzwang. So, yeah, you know, Americans. Anyways, I think that'll be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Please remember to like, subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video and want to stay tuned with the rest of the series. Until then, have fun, take care, and bye-bye.